Boys, Carl Robinson and those Beaumont Renegades have done the unthinkable. They have won the NAL championship in their first year, defeating the Omaha Beef 37-29. And I got to tell you, man, oh man, oh man. Tommy Armstrong and company did their best. They had their best effort out there, but a little bit of that defense. It's a little bit too much. Omaha tried to late game comeback, but it was 37-13 in the fourth quarter. It was 37-13 in the fourth quarter, and I got to tell you, this was a pretty dominant performance by Beaumont in that first half, especially that first half. I'm telling you, there were some moments where it seemed like Omaha could get back into it. They had the opportunities, but ultimately at the end of the day, the Renegades were just too much. The unfortunate thing about all of this was there was some player-fan interactions that got messy. We're talking fans starting things and players going into the stands to break things up, which is both no-nos. I do not care, it's a no-no. And if fans getting onto the field, getting in players' faces on Omaha's side, of course, the broadcasters were definitely going pro-beef on that one, where it's like, the absolute wrong things to say, where it's like, again, player and fan safety is important. That's the one thing that we kind of need to get out of the way right here, right now, because this continues to happen. It's been a thing all year long, honestly. There's been some fan interactions that have gotten a little bit crazy, but nothing as crazy as what this was, and this happened like 3 different times in this game. And the officials were sitting here confused. What do we do? We got to do something about this. The security was definitely not there, because it took like 5 minutes to get a guy out of the arena. It's a game that, very good for Beaumont. First year champions. I mean, man, beating the Beef twice is good for Beaumont. Beating the Beef twice, winning the NAL championship, Carl Robinson being the MVP. I mean, my goodness gracious. Man, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time for Beaumont this summer. So, they have achieved the unthinkable by winning the NAL championship in their very first year. Similar to how Carolina did, like in their first and second year when they beat the brakes off of Columbus. Remember that game from years ago when Carolina beat the brakes off of Columbus in the NAL championship? It was that bad. And on the other side, we have playoffs now set in the AF1. Of course, Albany beat the brakes off of Washington, and Corpus Christi got annihilated. Absolutely annihilated by Nashville. Nashville gets the host. They will host in Clarkville, on Sunday, June 22nd. It'll be in Southwest Kansas, though, because Salina beat Southwest Kansas on a last-second play. And, Billings got eliminated despite beating Oregon. They were eliminated from playoff contention. So, there's that. And this game, last-second field goals just continue to be the thing that just drives the bus. In the playoffs, not everybody played the same amount of games. Not everything was, completely neat. But, we got a season out of the AF1 with pretty much no other troubles, really. Corpus notwithstanding, Washington being one of the worst teams of all time, notwithstanding, how did they even get 2 wins, bro? How did they even get 2 wins? It doesn't make any sense. They were terrible. Just this is awful. We had the AF1 semifinals. We got one on Saturday, one on Sunday. Of course, as you all know, I do work on Saturdays now, so probably going to be missing a good chunk of games on Saturday again. But yeah, interesting times the F1. It should be a fun playoffs. Salina, the kids that have been cardiac like, continue to play up to snuff. In the meantime, AL2, their final regular season game, playoffs are going to be weird because it's like a 4-week playoff, but Mississippi beat Carolina if you wondered about that. So, yeah, playoffs for the AL2 start, this upcoming week. It'll be like 3 or 4 weeks of playoffs. I don't know why the championship is in July. Let's kind of wrap this up quickly, y'all. Yeah, I don't even know what – I know one of the matchups is Jersey, Maryland, but that's about it, to be quite honest. Really should have been just top 5 teams because there are 5 teams with really good records. Heck, even 6, with Mississippi in one case. But other than that, I just don't understand why we're going to drag this out for super long. But whatever, man. That's what the AL2 said. I even said, hey, I'm not the one who makes the rules, or about this, but hey, you guys do what you got to do, make playoffs however you want to make it. So the AL2 playoffs will start this upcoming weekend as well. Meanwhile, TAL, I mean, what can you say that hasn't been said already? It's been some good stuff. Iowa, everybody has a win, everybody has a loss. Iowa beat Ozarks, which is crazy. Crazy good game. Hot Springs won their second game, beating Duluth. Tony O'Neill will no longer be suspended after this week. He will be playing. He will be coaching up this upcoming weekend. So that's good for Duluth. And St. Joe's, they've won their first game of the year, beating Eau Claire by 9, 55-46, and it was a good game, I mean, the turnover chain is looking real nice too. Man, I want one of those. Give me one of those. Give me one of those turnover chains. And again, lots of TL going to be watched over the next couple of weeks for me. Now we're really into the thick of the summer, guys. We're really into the thick of the summer. With the NAL being over, we're into the thick of the summer, baby. Which means it's just IFL, TAL pretty much from here on out. Yeah, we got the AF1 semifinals and championship game, but from here on out, we're basically be talking IFL and TAL pretty much every week. Meanwhile, speaking of the IFL, Iowa is still terrible. San Antonio is still terrible. I mean, I don't think it has to be said, but, it just is what it is. Massachusetts beat the brakes off of Iowa. Tulsa finally gets back in the win column with a big win against San Antonio. Green Bay beat the brakes off of Jacksonville and, got our friendly Jacksonville fans seething, Bay Area beat Vegas. Northern Arizona still proves that they are Northern Arizona by, going with a fake field goal attempt and absolutely failing to get that off, which proves to me that NAS is also one of the worst teams to ever be playing this year. Like, my God, how do you fail on a fake field goal attempt? Tucson, however, beat Arizona on a field goal attempt, that went in after triple overtime, of course. And then Quad City beat Fishers. Like, again, there's still a lot of separation from the pack. The good are still separating themselves from the bad. And the teams that, are playing good, that are also playing other teams that are good, are just beating the brakes off of each other. It kind of depends on how, So there's still a little bit of separation. Massachusetts is gaining, though, in the East, which is why I said, Tulsa needed that victory last night. And now, things are still getting chippy. Tucson has also made it interesting out west because Arizona continues to lose games. They've lost 3 in a row, which is very concerning. If you are an Arizona Rattlers, very concerning. Kevin Guy, it runs a tight ship, but something's got to be done. Something's got to be done out in Arizona. But yeah, there's really nothing else needed to be said. Again, congratulations to the Beaumont Renegades for winning the NAL championship in their first ever season, going 9-1. really, because of all the cancellations and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, Omaha denied a fourth championship in 5 years, and I mean, it's just good stuff. Again, the fan player interactions were the only thing that kind of gave it a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth for this game. But other than that, it was a good season from the NAL. There are some rumors being floated around that Shreveport is not going to make it, and Idaho, which, from a couple weeks ago, our boy Chris Voss confirmed that, that hey, Idaho is probably not going to be here next year. Oh yeah, I forgot about Bay Area. They won. Yeah, they beat Vegas. But yeah, NAL, the momentum, which is looking like Amarillo, will be, the West Texas Warbirds, which are going to be based in Amarillo, will be coming to the NAL, which makes perfect sense because, of the people involved. But other than that, I don't know what's going to happen with expansion, in the NAL. I don't think there's a lot of good candidates. There's not very many good candidates. Let's just keep it 150%. There are not very many good candidates right now. Please stay out of DFW. We do not need a team right now. Okay, I'm just going to be real with y'all. We don't. The Dallas-Fort Worth area does not need a team right now. Do not come over here trying to, because I will go investigate it. I will go and do some due diligence myself if need be. We do not need a team. There's some other areas that do not need a team right now either, that have been burned. Amarillo, really doesn't need a team right now because they just got burned. But, whatever. We're going to have a team anyway, in Amarillo. But that's basically it for me. If the Stanley Cup Finals end tonight, I am not talking about this tonight. I am going to talk about that in the morning. If they do not, then we'll wait until Saturday morning, talk about the Stanley Cup Final, because I'm not going to sit here and double up tonight. There is another review of some coffee that I have, which I'm eventually going to use, but not yet. I'm going to find a use for it. So, yeah. Other than that, that's basically it for me. I don't have anything else really to say. The NBA Finals also end on Thursday night. I'll talk about that on Friday. Not gonna sit here and double up and triple up on videos and stuff like that. So, I'm Big Boy Summer is still going on. Obviously, I've pretty much worn the same shirt for like days at a time. I took a bath the other day. I took a bath yesterday and I still felt like I have a bunch of gray shirts. So, yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about at this point. I'm going to get off out of here.